4 years, South Africa has watched political tremors shake the foundations of its institutions. But what unfolded this week sent a shockwave through the nation's power corridors. In a development few anticipated, explosive remarks attributed to senior police figures have reignited scrutiny around President Cyril Ramaphosa, while allegations involving former Acting Police Commissioner General Phahlane resurfaced in connection with KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi. What began as murmurs within law enforcement circles has now evolved into a national political flashpoint. At the center of the storm are three powerful names, each representing a different pillar of South Africa's state machinery: the presidency, the South African Police Service, and the broader criminal justice system. Reports suggest that internal tensions within the police leadership may have spilled into the public domain, raising questions about accountability, loyalty, and institutional stability. According to sources cited in recent coverage, statements allegedly linked to General Phahlane have dropped a bombshell by challenging narratives surrounding operational decisions and internal disciplinary processes. While the precise content of these claims remains subject to verification, the political impact is undeniable. Allegations have emerged suggesting that certain high-level decisions within policing structures were influenced by political dynamics rather than purely administrative considerations. President Ramaphosa, who has consistently positioned his administration as committed to renewal and anti-corruption reform, now finds himself navigating renewed scrutiny. His presidency has long been shaped by promises of ethical governance following years of institutional erosion. Any suggestion of political interference in law enforcement matters carries profound implications, not only for his personal credibility but for the broader reform agenda. The backdrop to this unfolding drama is South Africa's complex history of state capture investigations, internal party divisions within the ruling African National Congress, and persistent public concern over crime and police accountability. Commissioner Mkhwanazi, known for his high-profile stance on crime in KwaZulu-Natal, has often operated in a politically sensitive environment. His leadership in a province historically marked by factional political violence and organized criminal networks has drawn both praise and controversy. The reported bombshell, as described by observers, appears to deepen fractures within policing leadership structures. Analysts note that when senior officers publicly or indirectly challenge institutional narratives, it signals not just disagreement, but potential instability within command hierarchies. Such instability can ripple outward, affecting operational morale and public trust. Public reaction has been swift and divided. Supporters of the president argue that internal police disputes should not be conflated with executive misconduct. They point to ongoing reform initiatives and judicial commissions as evidence of a government committed to transparency. Critics, however, contend that even the perception of political entanglement within law enforcement undermines confidence in state institutions. Social media platforms have amplified the tension, with commentators framing the situation as a moment of political karma. That phrase, while emotionally charged, reflects a broader sentiment that unresolved questions from past governance controversies continue to resurface in new forms. Yet experts caution against oversimplification. South Africa's institutional ecosystem is complex, and leadership disputes within the police service often stem from layered operational, legal, and administrative factors. The timing of these revelations is particularly significant. With the country navigating coalition politics and heightened electoral sensitivity, any controversy touching the presidency carries amplified weight. Political opponents may seize on the moment to demand clarity or parliamentary oversight, while the governing party must balance internal cohesion with public accountability. Legal analysts emphasize that allegations alone do not equate to findings of wrongdoing. South Africa's constitutional framework provides mechanisms for oversight, including parliamentary committees and independent investigative bodies. Should formal complaints or evidence be presented, established procedures would determine the course of action. Meanwhile, Commissioner Mkhwanazi's position remains under intense public scrutiny. His reputation as a tough-on-crime provincial leader contrasts with the political turbulence now surrounding his office. If internal disputes escalate, they could prompt reviews within the SAP's command structure, potentially reshaping leadership dynamics in one of the country's most critical security regions. General Phahlane's history within the police service also adds complexity. Having previously faced legal and administrative challenges, his re-emergence in headlines carries symbolic weight. Observers note that when figures with contested pasts resurface in high-stakes political narratives, it often reignites broader debates about institutional reform and leadership vetting. The presidency has thus far maintained a measured tone, emphasizing adherence to due process and respect for investigative mechanisms. That approach aligns with Ramaphosa's broader strategy of positioning himself as a custodian of constitutional order rather than a participant in public confrontation. Whether that strategy will calm the storm remains uncertain. Beyond personalities, the deeper issue at stake is institutional credibility. South Africa's democratic project relies on the perceived independence of its police service. Any suggestion of blurred lines between executive authority and operational policing decisions risks eroding public trust. In a nation grappling with high crime rates and socio-economic pressures, trust in law enforcement is not merely symbolic, it is foundational. Political scientists argue that moments like this often serve as stress tests. They reveal whether systems are resilient enough to manage internal conflict transparently or whether factional battles spill into destabilizing public spectacle. The coming weeks may determine whether this episode fades as a temporary controversy or evolves into a defining chapter of the current administration. What happens next could take several paths. Parliamentary inquiries may be requested. Internal SAPS reviews could clarify the factual basis of the alleged bombshell. Political rivals may intensify pressure, framing the situation as emblematic of broader governance concerns. Alternatively, institutional processes could quietly address the matter, reducing the political temperature. For President Ramaphosa, the stakes are significant. His legacy is closely tied to restoring institutional integrity after a turbulent era in South African politics. Even indirect controversies that touch the presidency challenge that narrative. For Commissioner Mkhwanazi and General Phahlane, the stakes are equally high: professional credibility, public trust, and the future trajectory of policing leadership hang in the balance.